What's up?
Was that?
Recorded October 11th, 2023. What's going on, Brody? What's going on, Rod? Oh, who we missing?
Nobody.
Oh,
Oh,
the,
Andrea.
that hangar owner, Andrea. She's not here. Yeah, it's all right. Brody, how you doing, man? You got the Winnipeg Jet. It must be hockey season.
Starts today, bud. Starts
I
today. Going to the
I
game
know.
tonight. I'm so happy that I'm not
Nice.
sneezing and blowing my nose like a madman. I caught the Redmond flu
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
last
We talked
week.
about that last time I was in Redmond. I
Yeah,
also got sick.
when you told me that, Rod, I was like, well, that makes me feel better. That
Yeah,
epitome of old guy health, Rod Trent, also
Wow.
is a
yeah.
cold
I
every
just went to
time.
the doctor and had my blood work, and I'm like Superman still. So
Yeah, well, you and Edward are basically like old man strength, You got dad strength going on, like no
Hmm?
tomorrow. So if you guys can get sick, I can get sick. I'm stoked it wasn't me being out until 3 in the morning multiple nights with my colleagues that got me to catch this flu.
probably had something to do with it.
But 75% of the people who went are sick. It's
Yeah.
Really?
hilarious.
Oh,
None of
they were
us
hanging
tested
around you.
positive for COVID.
They were
Yeah,
around you though. That's the
they were around me. That's right. So I probably was patient
you're a
zero, and
carrier.
yeah, I was the carrier and everything. But
I swear it's not Redmond. It's not Seattle. It's actually that airport. I hope nobody's listening because I have to fly in there next month. I just don't that airport. I used to love it, but I just don't. I think it's dirty.
Let's run down.
Yeah.
really, because that's
Tacoma's
like
run down.
it's so nice, and
What's
like
up,
the
Dean?
line goes quick. I didn't get my stupid TSA pre-check sorted out properly because it's been a while since I traveled to the States. So I had to go into the main line, and it moved pretty
Yeah.
quick, and everyone was pretty nice. Like it was all good. It wasn't nobody was being a grouch. I thought it was a nice time, but
Hmm?
uh, but I don't know. I mean, when you get like, I guess when you get a bunch of people from across the continent, like it was myself and Eric, the only Canadians that were there. This is the security service line offsite for Microsoft services, if anybody's wondering. It was all last week. It was amazing. And then most of the people were from Eastern time zone, US of A, with a few West Coasters, and then one gentleman from Mexico. And I guess if you get everybody coming in there, and then you combine that with the people who are just in that building and on the campus, and then everybody's going out to different places in Bellevue, not really in Redmond. I'm staying in Bellevue next time, not Redmond.
That
Uh,
yeah. Bellevue's the
yeah,
best place.
yeah, that mistakes were made. But anyway, blah 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 blah. It's only a matter of time before germs,
Mhm.
occur and you catch something. But it was worth it. It was worth it. We all had a great time. And I've actually got a picture I want to show if you don't mind.
You
I've got a
yeah.
picture
Go
of the
ahead.
team. Yeah,
Picture you. Oh wow.
let me share it.
Is this of the limo? And
There's no limo. No, Satya wouldn't let us get a limo.
you wouldn't let get a limo?
Golly,
Right.
Sachi is just a buzzkill.
What was the theme? Was it like dancing in heaven or something like that?
There was no theme. The theme was make sure you're at the meeting room at 9 o'clock the
Stargazing.
next day. That's the theme. Make sure you're
Did you
there.
did you did you keep the glass slipper that fell off her foot and try to find her?
Edward, I hate you. I hate you. This is our 2023
Wow. Look at
security
that
service line
team.
team, the America's Time Zone team. It's almost all of the architects and
Wow.
consultants that we have, and we've hired a few more people since then. But most of these people I've only known through, a spattering of video calls, but mostly just staring at their Microsoft profile picture orb, right? And
Good
some
team.
people, you don't know. It's funny. It's funny how much an in-person meeting is important, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Allie was on the show last week, and meeting her in person was great. Her, Norton, Andrew, and I joined around or worked on a bunch of projects my first year, and so the fact that we all got to meet together was like this family reunion. And some people on that list, like they just joined, or on that picture, some people just joined recently, like Gustavo and Vinicio. Some people on that picture I thought were like very serious people, and then all of a sudden they're helping you close out the pub at 2:30 in the morning. You know who you are, and you have a
Yeah.
different interpretation on who they are, right? And then
What
you
day
just
was this picture taken on, by the way?
this is the last day, so
The
this was on
last day.
Friday. Yeah,
Oh,
this
I
is on
see that guy top right. He closed the bar down. I can tell.
Yeah, those
top
folks.
right is David. David, on the Friday, there was actually like all that fog disappeared, and midday the sun came out. It was a beautiful day, And that's when Microsoft Campus had a 5K run organized, and he was in. He's
Ah,
like, "Oh yeah, I went on the 5K run." I'm like,
that's cool.
"That's awesome."
Mm.
Rolling up for like a week long
That's
getaway.
great.
You get on a 5K run. Good for you. That's great. So
Rod,
it was.
Rod would have won the 5K and then went
I'm
back to
sure he
work.
would have. I'm sure
He
he
would
would have.
told
He would have
everybody,
knocked over people.
he
He would have
told
knocked over all
everybody,
these engineering people. Just out of my way. You don't know who I
he'd
am.
have told them, hold my Pop-Tart. I'll be right back.
Yeah, totally.
That's my incentive. Yeah.
Brody, you look tall, man. I mean, you're taller than the people who stand behind.
Well, we've never met in person, so I get to
Yeah.
actually talk to Ed in person next week. But Brody, you and I have never. Yeah, you look like you're a monster.
Yeah, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just under 6 feet, but my driver's license says 6 feet because I round up.
Well, there
Yeah.
you go. I rounded up to 5'5". So where you go?
I played basketball in high school and college, and coaches always exaggerate. I'm barely like 5'10", but I was for the basketball roster. I was like 6'1". I was proud of that.
Yeah.
There you
Get
go.
platform shoes. So obviously you didn't do any work, Brody, this week, so we won't go there.
We
Rod,
did.
you?
We did the whole week. We did actually. Well, we listened. I mean, we had people. Sorry, I'm going to just completely take over for a little bit longer here. We had people from the engineering team present to us on different technologies. We had people on our team talk about how we want to work with customers moving forward. What's been working, what's different, how things are going to change around. I had a gentleman come up to me at one of our happy hours, and I basically just ordered additional beers from the server because the server's just going back and forth. I'm like, why don't you just bring double, and then you can see us half as much time. I'm just being efficient, right? And this gentleman comes up and he's like, "Hi, I'm German and I love beer, and I noticed you had an extra beer. Can I have one of your beers?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, you can." And I later find out that he
That's
works
a
on a
pickup
team.
line, by the way.
Right,
Go
great
ahead.
pickup line. And I later find out that he works on a team with Sela, where we acquired a company. I forget the name of a company. Microsoft acquired the company, and we're offering services to public sector customers to help against influence operations. And so basically, we work with governments to stop or to tamper down foreign actor groups spreading propaganda, etc. And it's through Sela, and it's not for profit. It's just to cover costs. And if I didn't order extra beers and had just an extra pale ale sitting on this table next to me, this guy may have never come up, and we would have never made this connection. So the in-person connections were super important. I had a worldwide sales leader come up to me and thank me, and I'm like, I don't know you. And because I'm doing community work, they know me, so it was kind of surreal. I'm sure you guys get this too. You get people walking up to you, be like, "Hey, I know you. You do that thing. You do that show, or you do that internal thing," and you don't know them maybe, and it's kind of surreal. It was an excellent week. Excellent week. So it was
First thing, there is no such thing as an extra beer. It's beer none consumed.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's like
Someone's gonna
someone
have it.
saying, I got some. There is no extra money. It's just more money.
Yeah. What's left in that cap?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, man, you those organic and those micro relationships and those happenstance encounters, man, they billion-dollar businesses have started that way. Someone walk up to someone and say, "Man, that's a good idea," and next thing you know, you're addicted to a new technology that's out there.
Next thing you know, OnlyFans exists.
Yes, I need to check my account today. See who's paying me. Rod, what did you do this week, man?
I am like everything Ignite at the moment, so it's all boring, but getting further and further down. So that's next month, right? Ed and I will actually be in the same city at the same time. Hopefully we get to kind of connect, do dinner with Morton or whatever. Morton's going to be there, by the way. Morton will be there that Sunday night.
Friend of the show.
Yeah. I have another conference to speak at the end of the month, but as you can see, I have my hat on tonight because I don't travel for a couple weeks, and anyone that gets their hair cut, you have a special person that cuts your hair. You know that they do a good job, but you hate getting your hair cut when you travel. So my hair is a little extra long, and I'm waiting like last moment to get my hair cut because I'll be gone for like a month. So
man, just put it in a ponytail.
Yeah,
you're all right. But
Stargate. So,
yeah,
kind of an old man hat, Rod. You kind of look older with that hat on.
Do I?
Yeah.
Here, let me do it this way then. There you go.
Now you look like an unemployed loser. He's working out of his basement with this. He's going to make it big.
Hopefully my manager isn't watching and getting ideas.
Yeah, there you go. Uh, yeah, you and I talk probably more this week than we have done in a long time, especially around the night.
Yeah.
For me, not too much. Still doing the professional services, first party seller thing. For those uh, who have been watching the show, you still may not know I've changed roles. I'm now global black belt for Defender Experts for hunting, Defender Experts for XDR, which is Microsoft's first party security services, managed services. So we're going to talk more about that probably in November. Definitely going to bring it up during Ignite. Doing that, learn a couple of things I didn't know. You know, for the last 2 years prior to the show, we're all 365 Defender and a whole lot of Sentinel. Rob was concentrating on Sentinel before AI took over his sphere of influence. And me too, all things data, but now it's a totally different set of muscles I'm using because I'm selling somebody else's capability, meaning someone else is going to be doing the incident response and somebody else is going to be doing the investigation. So it's not me working on technologies where I deploy the detection, I deploy the prevention, I deploy it or assist in deploying it. Now I'm telling you, you don't have to do anything. Sign up for the service. Microsoft will do the hunting proactive, will do the remediation, both guided and fully respond. And I'm learning a lot about it. So it's different, but oddly enough, it has brought me closer to all the partners we've had on the show, understanding what they're going through, Continue, Blue Voyant, Critical Start, how they have to build services and have to go out and sell the services. So I've learned more about those individuals who represented their companies on the show, how they operate. And big shout out to Blue Voyant for hiring Chi.
I was going to say that. You beat me. Yeah.
I beat you to it. I had to have something, right? If you can't tell Ed nothing, I'll steal your thunder.
Yeah.
There you go. Because of that, I've spent more time in my lab. So I'm really going back and redoing the entire Defender lab for me. I blew it all the way one more time. Got all the Meraki stuff fixed. I think I told you that. So I'm having to do those things to stay technically competent because I'm not in the tech anymore. I'm not a salesperson, Brody. I'm just selling a different set of technology skills at this time. But no, I'm down in it now, and so there's definite return on value to be able to go back and make sure I stay sharp. And I use this to stay abreast of all the changes that are coming out. And that's it. Enjoying the cool weather here in Georgia. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
And,
I did want to mention something real quick before we bring on our guest, because we should. It's like almost 20 after. The early adopter program for Security Copilot started yesterday on my birthday, by the way. And in conjunction with that, the public docs for Security Copilot are available. Go to aka.ms/security copilot docs. And there's all the documentation, existing documentation. You get to see screen captures, all the stuff that, potentially things that no one's seen except for the private preview people. So
nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Noodle goes cost. The cost is $1 gajillion, Noodle.
It's less than it was, but not really, but that's okay.
I got kicked out of my demo lab. We had someone present on it and they just gave us like the level 100, 200 marketing deck. And I'm like, I don't know what I expected. I guess it's still just under wraps, but I can't wait to get my hands dirty. That's what I want.
Come to Ignite. Come to
Ignite.
Are we ready for our guest? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're ready. No, this is about the right time. If Andrew was here, everybody gets 5 minutes. It's 4:20.
Yeah, we're already over.
All right,
4:20,
so
baby.
This is the new Andrea. We're going to reveal the new Andrea tonight. Here we go.
Oh my God, it's Andrea. Hey. So Andrea decided to take some time off from this circus.
How honor being here.
Yeah, she's here in spirit. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, Andrea decided to take some time off, and so she's not here to make the show. She could if she would. She might be on an airplane. I'm not sure. But we have a guest that definitely comes in and fills the spot for us, and Miss Beth Bischoff. Now, I'm not going to go into old history. Beth and I have known each other for years. We used to work together at a
You just did.
Okay. All right. We did it. I don't even know what that company is. Reseller, VAR, LAR, whatever. And it was just so crazy when she came to Microsoft. I'm like, I know you. and so I saw her adopted her kids as my nephews too. Keep an eye on them. But Beth, I'll let her introduce herself. She and I were colleagues on the same team up until July, and we started out on separate teams. But our skill sets are definitely in line, and she'll introduce herself and do more justice. So, Beth, tell the people what they want to know.
Awesome. Thank you, Edward. So I remember that day. And it's funny, I was just telling somebody that you had walked up to me. We were in the ILDC and you're like, hey, I know you. And I'm like, who are you? And ever since then, it feels like we've known each other forever.
Yeah.
So I'm
Troublemakers.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, my name is Beth Bischoff. I'm a security global black belt, as Edward was up until July. So we focus on all the things security, Defender, Microsoft 365 Defender, Defender for Cloud, Sentinel, all that stuff. So it's a lot, and it's fun. It's always changing. Always something to learn. So yeah, that's what I do.
And Beth is a tinkerer. If she's not teaching herself to program 1 month, then she's working on IoTs and billets and fillets for 1 month, and then she'll jump on another technology. And but you covered manufacturing, right? It was manufacturing.
You got it. Yeah.
And did that, and that's a hard draw. If you think about manufacturing, the type of clients they are, majority of them are gargantuan. Making the stuff that we consume. So, but Beth, we didn't bring you on the show for this. We brought you on the show to talk about something in the professionalism of the professional arena of what we do in measuring our skills. A lot of our listeners always want to know how to get started. And then once they get started, what technical skills should I acquire? And then once you do that, how do you validate of a sort these skills and your learning? And you recently had the pleasure of going through a SANS GAC course, and congratulations on becoming, certified and achieving that certification, which now these days seems to be the pinnacle of security certifications. None of them are easy. I can tell you that they're not easy. They take a time commitment. Frank would love to be on the show and talk to you. I might text him in the background to tell him to join the show. Big shout out to Frank Grimberg, co-creator of the show, longtime friend. And he would definitely tune in about it. I may do it. So tell us about that journey. What made you want to do it? What made you choose the discipline you did it? And how did you approach it? Because I encountered you a few times doing it, and you like, I'm busy ahead, I'm stressed. I got to get this studying done. Leave me alone. So yeah. Tell me about it.
So, okay, from start to finish. So honestly, I had no idea what I was getting into. With the SANS courses, I'd never done one before. So I got the opportunity to do one, to take a SANS course, signed up for it. I'm like, oh, I can just get this done in a month before summer. Right. So it was, I don't know, June. So I thought I could get it done before the kids went on summer break. Oh no, not so much. So, and the SANS courses are, it's a lot of stuff that comes with it. So you get the video, you get and that's about 40 hours worth of training. And this is for on demand. So you get the video training, and then you can fast forward. So I'm like, okay, I'll just listen to it on 1.5 speed and I'll be good, right? Yeah, not so much. So, and then you also get the labs. And then you get a stack of books, a stack kind of like this. It's a nice big stack of books. So I'm like, okay, I can read, I can watch videos. I'll be good, right? So I go through a month and I, start to get a grasp. And the reason that I chose, by the way, I did SANS Sec 540, which is the GCSA. So the Cloud Security DevSecOps Automation. The reason that I chose that was because I've focused on really SecOps for a long time. Sentinel, spent a lot of time in Sentinel. And I was kind of realizing that I had a gap in security posture. And, what does that mean today in terms of securing the cloud? All the things that cloud could be. And, I really didn't know nearly enough about it. So I thought this was a kind of a good way to kind of, test what I thought that I was learning and get a baseline and have a structured way of going about, understanding and learning the kind of what underlies DevSecOps in general, and what is cloud security posture and how does that actually happen at scale. So I did learn a lot in that first month, and the course is actually really, really good, very interesting. Highly recommend it if you have the opportunity. But yeah, after that month, summer hits, and the kids go on break, and I'm trying to figure out what are we going to do for vacation, and all the stuff, all the schedule changes and things like that. So, did end up taking a couple of vacations, and thinking that I was still going to be ready for the test. You get 4 months, by the way, from the time that you actually start the course to being able to take the test. And then I talked to one of my coworkers, one of Edward's and I are coworkers, Jeff Schnagelberger. I don't know if anybody on the call here knows him. And he told me all about the index. And I'm like, oh, this is this is not what I thought it would be. He showed me his index. I'm like, oh, wow, I have a lot more work left to do. So, end up, buckling down and getting it done. So,
Yeah, it's hard. When I first attempted one of those SANS courses, it was the 555, and I took it for I blew through exams. Brody and I were having exam contests every month on the show. This time last year, we were blowing through exams, right?
Crushing it.
But I took that same arrogance into that. And Frank Grimberg warned me. He said, Ed, you're not going to pass this exam. And he said the thing that'll make you fail is that the exam is open book. And he said you got to get an index. Damn index. What is it? The Dewey Decimal System now? Do I need cards like in the library? So I went and took. I'll let you talk about yours, and I'll give you my experience afterwards. How my SANS journey went. So you took the SecOps one. How many hours did you put in a day?
Oh my goodness, I didn't keep track. I probably should have kept track. I started getting up at 4 a.m. I'm a morning person. So,
That's it. That's Ed's normal wake up anyway.
Yeah, it is. I wanted to follow in Matt Egan's footsteps. So yeah, I started getting up really early, and actually, that's when I can focus. So I did that pretty much every day, even through the summer. But sorry, what was the question again?
How many hours did you spend a day?
Yeah. It was, I don't know, roughly 2 hours ish.
Did you give yourself a break on the weekends?
Yeah, generally yes, and then through vacation.
That this was post-pandemic. Did you? And I don't know the testing medium now. When I did it, it was remote. You sit down and you do it, and someone's watching you on the camera. Did you go into an actual facility, or did you do it proctored remote?
No, I went to a facility. I did not.
Wow, that's brave. That's brave.
I like facilities. So when I was taking the exams, Brody and I would have our contest. It's just a testing facility about 3 miles from my house. I would go there because I feel more comfortable there. No distractions, nothing, no phones ringing because they take them from you and all that other stuff, right? And sit down and do it. But so it sounds like you put in a reasonable amount of hours on a daily basis, took some time off. And how foreign was it for you? Well, let me ask you this question. When was the last certification exam you've taken or had to take? And how foreign was it?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember when we did the CCSP.
Yeah, we had to do CCSP, yeah.
But I failed it. And I went through the on-site boot camp and then thought that I could just go and take it, and I failed it.
Well, there's no such thing as fail. You just didn't pass.
You're learning for next time.
Failure is when you decide you don't want to try anymore, or you don't get another shot.
Yeah.
Ed doesn't fail unless you don't allow me to try again, or I refuse to try again. I will get back in the saddle. So I remember that you and I were Dallas. Was it? Yeah.
So I didn't go to Dallas because they did one here in Chicago. So I stayed home.
That's right. I did the one in Dallas.
Yeah.
I blew through it. I'm already certified CISSP, and I had the cloud experience, and it was certification Matt Solzman told me to take. Was the cloud security, something professional. And once you take enough of that stuff, you get it. And I knew the testing layout of how those ICS 2 squared exams are. But yeah, here's the crazy part about it. Out of all the technical people that were in the room that took that boot camp, and then we had a bunch of salespeople, 50% of the tech people failed that exam, and 90% of the salespeople passed. The security sales passed, but they didn't overthink it, right? If the content say 1 + 1 is 11, it's 11. Or smart people gonna go as 2. No, it's 11 because the exam says it's 11. And you do it that way, right?
That's what happened to me with the DevOps tests, because I passed and I also passed the re-up, and I swear I failed them. So
yeah, I face value. So within that,
Wait. Can I have a question? Can I ask a question?
Huh?
So did you get your CCSP, Edward?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. Beth, did you ever get it in the end? That's it
No,
was on my list for last winter, but I slacked off. I was thinking about getting it this winter.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting it, but I didn't, and I actually had it scheduled again, and everything shut down due to COVID. So that was the timing issue.
Yeah,
Right.
I
and
did
it's been
it.
so long since the boot camp that's like, yeah. I got you.
Well, I sort of learned through osmosis because Ringo was sitting next to me, Beth, and he was serious the whole time. You remember Ringo, right? So I kept trying to bother him. He's like, "Oh man, I'm studying." I'm like, nobody wants to play. It's just Ed here, right? So, the CCSP is a ISC square exam. The people that provide the CISSP and the ISSAP or something like that. It's considered one of the industry standards, like CISM or CISA. Yeah, but yeah, go take it because it's. I like to recon exams. I don't have a fear of if the thing doesn't come back and say you pass. I'm like, okay, no big deal. I know what I need to do now, and then I go back and I blow it out of the water. I think some people just feel so much anxiety about, passing the exam the first time, and if you don't, I'm like, the day is not your day. Tomorrow's your day. You're just gonna knock it out. But I like going to facilities. I do not like doing it at home, which I'll talk about that at the end. So when you took the exam, first of all, how long was it?
2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I ask questions, don't violate the testing oath and stuff like that. I think I can ask this question too. How many questions was it?
Oh, how many? It was 60 questions. I should know. It's or 75. It was 75 questions.
70 questions. Yeah. And I can ask those questions because they're publicly knowledgeable. I don't want you to say anything. They're like, we're going to revert your cert because you told everybody what was on there. Okay. So EAP participant had been nominated based on, Rod's talking on everything. So with that cert, well, let me ask you a good question. When you take it at a proctor, did they give you, they give you right away that you pass or fail, right? Or pass or not pass?
Yeah, they do.
You do.
So as soon as you finish, you click the done button and you get the score. Yes.
Yeah, that button is like the worst thing to click too.
Yeah. Sometimes I just sit and let the time run out and let it click it for me. Exam is over. You're done. And do that.
Yeah, I ran out of time. I had to rush through the last 7 questions.
Oh, okay. And I won't ask your score because whatever the score is, you got it. But did you blow it out of the water?
I did well, surprisingly well, considering I did fail my first practice exam. So. And
the practice exams are part of the course. I think you get 2, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You get 2. And from my experience, and I'll talk about mine at the very end of the show, they weren't easy.
No, you know what so with the index, and especially having taken a look at, how to do that from Jeff and that kind of thing, my index was much too long, much too detailed. So that was the problem in the first practice test is I couldn't actually find all of the material, and the questions are really detailed, and you really do kind of have to reference back to the books. So I just didn't have enough time to actually make those references. So the second time through, I actually had to rebuild my index and cut it way back. And that helped substantially.
Yeah. And for those who are trying to say, okay, what's an index? I know we know what index mean. It is highly encouraged by anybody who pursues these exams to create you an index, which is a version of a Cliff Notes, right? You need to really understand because there can be some very obscure answers or very obscure question that test whether you looked at the material. Command line stuff that if you've done anything with KQL, they'll on questions, one little thing changes the way that KQL query is supposed to run. So you can't fake it. With the exam, and I'm not taking that one, was it typical Sans GIAC and it was technology agnostic? It didn't care about tech?
Yeah, so good question. This is my first Sans. So it was not actually technology agnostic. It was spread across. So AWS, Azure, a little bit of GCP. So it was kind of like across technologies. It wasn't, trying to convince you to use anything specifically, but it was, of course, they did certainly call out some technologies.
So it tests your experience because remember the things it tells you need to have these many years of experience and so an exposure, and they do it. Yeah, they do that. Were there any prerequisites they made you have to do in front of this particular exam?
No.
Nothing. Did they send you a nice, pretty certificate?
I haven't gotten that yet. I got the online version, but I haven't gotten the physical one. I enrolled for it. I think I did actually ask for it.
Okay. Did and I'm eating up all the questions here. I know Brody's.
Oh, you got some good ones, eh? Yeah. Keep going.
So here's one for you. Do you have that certification bug? Because once you get one, you want to do another cert and another cert and another cert.
A little bit. So I kind of, I guess I kind of burned myself out a little bit just in terms of balance, being able to spend, the time that I wanted to with my kids and work and all that stuff. So I kind of want to, I think I need to better plan for the next certification, especially if it's something serious like the CCSP, for example. I do need to study again for that because it's so regulation focused. You have to kind of understand all the regulations and so yes, but I'm not in like any real hurry.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and jump back into it November 1st. I'm going to pursue a SANS cert. One thing, let's go back to the index. When I was preparing to sit the exam, I asked Frank, let me use your, a version of your index. And he said, for two reasons, it's not going to work. You're not taking the same exam I'm taking. And second, even if I gave it to you, the exam has a personality. It's how you learn and what notes that you capture. So everybody's index is going to look totally different, right? You can't just share it with someone. They're not going to pass. It's where your brain thinks, right? I think very different in the way I capture information. And I've been around you. I've seen your notes and everything. Your notes are much more concise than mine. When you share stuff with me, I'm like, yeah, she went all the way in on this one. Yeah, I don't need all that. Yeah, you're right there. It's too much information. So you don't have the cert bug. And it's getting ready to get into the holiday season, but this is when Brody studies and does all his best work when the things slow down. So he likes this type of season. Because, I know it's hockey season, so he's not going to do anything.
No, I will. I need to. I need to get a few things. I still never got my SC100. I should do that. But I'll do that this winter.
You might wait a few weeks.
Yeah, for the change up. Yeah, for sure.
But
it's winter. I mean, it's just you're inside more, right? Like you gotta enjoy summer while you can. Up north.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think it's a good opportunity to upskill and whatnot. I've got a few trips coming up, but in between that, it would be a good idea to train and upskill. Although we talked about that as a team, and everyone's just so pinned right now. It's why we're hiring. We're just all so busy. It's kind of like learn on the fly and be ready. But it's hard to really set aside time for dedicated learning when there's constantly work. And I think our leadership's going to help us out, and hopefully with more people joining the team, that's going to give us opportunities here and there for breaks to be able to do things like this.
So do you still each year have like your annual, this is the test that you have to take this year type of thing? Because when I was we had that when I was Yeah.
It's
They want you to keep. I think they want you to keep regular. I mean, like if you look at the if you look at like the hiring, like the job description, it's like, hey, we want you to have like, you know, SC 200 or 300 and an industry neutral course like CISSP, etc. CISM, CISA, those types of things. CEH, I think, is on there too. Like, and then experience, you know, that's in the job description. So I think if we keep our Microsoft certs up to date, that's important. I think one industry neutral cert at a minimum is important. But I don't think.
Well, I just thought maybe they might start pushing some kind of AI thing or something. Since
I could see it. I mean, it's a security specific team. It's not like a general delivery team. So if there was an AI security specific one, which you and I both know may or may not happen based on how we're positioning protecting AI based systems, then I could see that being important. But I definitely want to take some of the AI ones you've talked about in your after the blog, I think it is.
Yeah.
Is that right, Rod? Yeah, after the blog you called out, hey, should security professionals take these recent AI-102, I think it is? And you're like, no, you don't really need to if you're security pro, but it's good for just broad AI. So I think if there's something in between that shows up where it's AI and security for whatever merger reason, I would think that should be at the top of everybody's
So we are working on, it won't be a certification by itself. We are working on, some security AI stuff.
Yeah, I think we need to get Frank on to really talk about that. How is the emergence and the huge propulsion of AI into everything affecting how certifications and how skills are being measured? Because I know everybody that's been listening to the show, Frank is the person that helps do certain things with. Where did my chair go down? Do certain things with the Microsoft certification that you take, and there are some changes that are coming because I think I have to renew my SC. I just renewed the SC 300. I just renewed the SC 100. I'm going to renew my SC 200. I renewed my AZ 500. I renewed my MS 500 and about 3 more. Yeah, again, those exams are going away. I just did it because it's probably the last time you'll see it, and you won't see that exam anymore. But I'm still a fan of this. I think that a lot of the exams are too much of a composite exam. I think that I'll stand by this. I think the SC 200 should be broken down into 4 exams. I think you should have an exam for endpoint, identity, or Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, Microsoft Defender for Identity, Microsoft Defender for Office, and make those exams like 194. 195, 196, or whatever the number.
Yeah.
And
well, they're role-based exams right now.
They're role-based. Yeah. And if you get all 4 of them, you get the 200. Now, those who are super experienced, you can just go take the 200 and be done with it, right? That's the way That's the way a lot of Cisco exams were. The CCNA exam back in the day had gotten so hard, and that was an senior entry-level thing. You're certified Cisco networking associate. That was to be the thing. If you had a CCNA back in the day, you got the job, and then the next thing you know, to get promotion, you got the CCNP, and then the next thing you know, to make all the money and run things, you got your CCIE. So when I got my CCIE, written only, I took the lab and didn't pass, and I'm not spending more money on this, right? This is hard. I learned a lot about it though, so I'm disappointed in a lot of these exams where just there is no buildup. So when you got junior people coming, you're telling them you got to take this high level exam unless you got 5 years of experience, but you aren't. But your job is telling you got to have this exam for your role. So if this exam is measuring someone with 5 years of experience or 10 years of experience, and you got 5. Why are you making me take this instead of having me have a progression to get to it? There's a disconnect between the job expectation and these certifications. You got some people say certification don't mean a darn thing.
There's a balance. I hear you. Well, job.
It's to me, it shows incentive. It shows that they would like to do what's necessary to improve, their standing in their job, or maybe even a potential. It's like, I look at people that go out and run for the fun of it. I think they're great people. It's just like people take certs. I'm like, hey, you're doing something to better yourself. That's awesome.
Yeah. And Noodle, I'm not making your life difficult. I'm just trying to make it easier for some folks that, yeah. It's just me. I took it straight up. It's no big deal. So I'm gonna ask Beth this question here.
That's loud.
If if you had to do it again, would you do it? Or it's
yeah.
not enough time? Okay, I'm about to say it's not enough time to realize the value of it.
Oh, no, for sure. So it's interesting because it's not, so it's just a baseline. So it's not even immediately applicable. And I think that's true of any, degree or certification or whatever. You kind of have to like figure out afterwards how to apply it and how to use that new knowledge and that kind of thing. Especially because I think for me, it's like, the learning part of my brain is, and then the thinking part of my brain is different from the talking part. So I have to actually like turn that into how I'm going to talk about things. And
I thought that would, that's what I was going to ask. Did it change how you approach discussions with customers? Did it in any way?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I think, like we tend to get so, product focused, and it's like, but wait a minute here, there's a whole process. And I think the process part is sometimes more important. And so understanding that process in the background and, what that looks like, and even like what the personas are doing. That's where I think the change in how you, address different topics comes into play.
I think a lot of times we throw technology at things without thinking, why are we throwing technology at things? We have to think about why we're doing it first.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Well put. Yeah. Well put. People and process was a major focus when we had our offsite recently. I mean, it's one thing just to be able to go in and roll something out, but the customer needs to be able to integrate it into their current process. They need to be able to train not only the people who manage it, but the people who are going to be the consumers of it, support why we're doing it, what are we aligning in terms of a business goal. It's overlooked, and it's hard for, I think, technology firms to maybe assist with consultation of that. I think partners sometimes do a better job, but larger scale partners do a better job of actually building offerings and working with customers around the people and process element of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could sometimes be better in terms of like consulting services with regards to deployment. Stop looking at it again from just a technology thing and really looking at it holistically. So it's an important topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I asked this question, Beth, and I usually do this to sort of measure, certain things. You see these job postings that go highly desirable, and they list all the certs and everything. And I don't know if you did or not. I haven't looked at your LinkedIn profile. Once you added that certification to your public persona and added it behind your name in LinkedIn, you get a bunch of employers calling you because they just want you're saying certified. That's good enough because a lot of government jobs say you have to have this to be able to do these things to measure. Did you put it out there and see if how many people? Because the recruiters scan for those keywords.
Yeah.
That you have these certifications. Did you put it on your public persona?
Yeah, and I got some pings for sure.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, they put it out there, and it carries a lot of weight. So let's talk about cost. Is it expensive?
Sure is.
That sure
is.
Sure
Did you get
is.
Microsoft to pay for it?
I did not have to.
Yeah, Beth big time. She called up there, hey, I'm gonna take a cert. Okay, Ms. Bischoff, you're good. It is expensive, and I think you make it for a reason. It filters out the BSers because that's a lot of money. I know, and you'll be found out. We got 10 minutes more. Is there anything else you want to share with this? And I'll tell everyone about my journey achieving a GX certification. Anything else you want to give to us? What recommendations would you give to someone who either choosing which one they want? That's one thing. Which cert to choose? And I think a lot of it's going to be based on if you're in security, your job may determine what you need to do. So that may not be a good question, but what advice would you give to prepping beyond just saying get an index put together?
Yeah, so good questions. I think the biggest thing is like how to choose is almost like how you want to grow or how you need to grow. To me, it's not about like necessarily adding the same knowledge and making it more, but like, where do I really want to find out something new to make it exciting and fun if you can for your job. And then the other side is so like the actual process. It's really about knowing yourself. So Edward, you mentioned a little bit earlier that you can't just borrow somebody else's index. And that's for me, I don't have a photographic memory in any way, shape, or form. But I know like I can make connections really easily. So I kind of use that in terms of how I studied and how I, repeated my study. And then I even like summarized a lot of things for myself because I could make those connections. And I knew I could even in, referencing the books by way of my index. So knowing like how you learn the best is super important. Understanding your weaknesses around when you're going to study and how you're going to actually put the time in and that kind of thing. And then I actually talked to my previous manager about the whole scenario. And I mentioned that I was getting up really early and felt a little bit burned out. And he said, you need a stop doing list. Whenever you put your mind to something, instead of just adding time or trying to like do more, you actually have to actually figure out what you want to stop doing before you go ahead and do something different or something new. And I'm like, that is such great advice. And that's exactly what I will try to do from now on. And that, I think that even applies in general. And he mentioned, every 2 weeks to look back to the previous 2 weeks and ask yourself, where did I waste time? What would I choose not to do again if I could go back 2 weeks?
Or if you wanted to waste time, where could I waste it next time?
Yeah, exactly. Waste different time. But it does create more space to be able to do, new things.
Well, I'm gonna be in my feelings about that because when your best buddies told you that, I told you that a long time ago. Look,
No,
all the time I tell you.
it takes a while for things to sink in for me.
Yeah, and it took me. I said, you're not going to learn anything through winning. I learned through pain. Pain is a good teacher, right? And you'll stop putting your hand on the stove. Eventually, you'll get it, right? But you and I are habitual people pleasers. We always want to make everybody happy. I'm worse than you than this. I'm a habitual overcommitter. I say yes to everything, and then I try to go make more hours in a day to do it because I don't want to disappoint anybody, right? And I've gotten really good at telling people no, even when I could say yes, whatever. No, you ask me to make a decision. I need to go back and understand what my time commitment is going to be, and so yeah, it even drives my wife crazy. She asked me something, and I think I told you that. I'm like, no, So he very good advice from him. I won't take credit because I told you the same thing. What do you want to put down before you pick something up? I believe that's the way that I told you. Put this down before you pick something up, right? And then you'll go. So I'll give my experience. Unless Beth, you want to share some more secrets and tips and things on that line.
No, I'd love to hear yours.
One more question. You had 2 practice exams, right?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you do on the second one?
Oh, I got a 93.
Woo!
93%.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So I went from a 58 to a 93.
Pretty good.
See,
in a week.
And let me make this thing here super clear to everybody that's listening, especially on the heels of Sarah being on and all the females that we've had on the show in security. We don't see it as a big deal because we're all smart and these are things that we do. We're professionals. You being a female in cybersecurity in itself, and I bet if you did a study on how many women in cyber have a SANS GX cert, that number is small. It really is, because there are not really males that have this certification. It is not prolific, right? The cost is a deterrent, and the time commitment is definitely a deterrent, right? And so, I like the cost of the exam. I know it puts it out of reach for someone else, and a lot of times you have to have an employee take care of it because they're not cheap. So I give you my experience. I decided I was going to sit the SANS GX 555 cert a couple of years ago, and I had a voucher, and I said I'm going to take it. I may have studied an hour a day, maybe, if I had time and everything. I took it for granted. The warning signs were there that I weren't prepared, but I got so much experience that it comes with an arrogance. So, man, if I go get my folder certifications, you can sit on it. You'll be 2 inches. You'll be you'd be a foot taller sitting in your chair. That's how many certs I got in that thing over there. So you go through that. So I went through it, and Frank told me, "Hey man, you're right. You get a stack of books. They're literally that high when you put them on each other. They're that high, a stack of books.
You'd be
So
as
they
tall as
came
Brody.
in. Yeah.
Apples
If I stand on it, I'd be tall as Brody. So the books came in. I half skimmed them. You get the virtual machines that go with it to do your testing. I don't know if yours had that. I didn't do any of that. I didn't do any of the labs. So I took the first practice exam. I scored like 55. Passing score of 7 something. I don't care. And that's public knowledge. I'm not disclosing anything, right? But when I did it, I told Frank, and Frank's like, "Yo, you're not going to do this from memory. You're going to have to go in and create this index." I said, "Well, let me use yours." Totally different exam, Ed. Indexes have personalities. He said, "I'll tell you how to make one." So we started going through it. It's like a cliff note. You get a notebook, you study, you write down the things. And I think a lot of times when I was doing the index, I was writing down things that I didn't know, but that's not the proper way to do it. It's writing down the key points, highlights, and the things that the exam are measuring, not necessarily what you're weak at. So I started half doing it, started getting up and studying. I study better in the winter because the sun isn't up before I run. So I get up, I study, and when the sun comes up, then I go outside and run because I'm scared to run in the dark. So I took the second one, still wasn't studying about more than an hour a day. And I scored 60. So you would think the warning signs would have went on, Ed. You're not prepared. And it did. I started studying a little bit more, being deliberate with it. Instead of doing it when I had time, I made time to do it. And I got the index going. And so let's just say hypothetically the passing score was 7 some change. Frank wanted me to score 900. He said, because when you score 900 or 90%, you are put in a higher status. I don't know if you know this. I don't know what your score would be. They designate you at a higher status, right? So he said, shoot for that. Something happened. I was good. I took it. I was ready to go, but unfortunately, I couldn't get another practice exam to measure. And I went in. I took the test. So when I took the exam, I was killing it. I thought I was, because you don't get any inside. The proctor was there. He'll pop in every so often. You can tell he's looking at you or she's looking at you. And then my exam quit in the middle. So they had to get on my machine, start over. And then they said, hey, we can't fix this or recover what you've done so far. We won't count this as an actual retake. You can retake it next week, no penalty. By that time, I had to travel. I came back. I crammed for like all day the next day. I mean, the day before the exam. I mean, really going through every book page by page through the index and everything else. Needless to say, I came up 1 point short.
Oh no.
1 point.
Man, that's brutal, Ed.
Wow.
And so I submitted my results to appeal. I said, look what you guys have done. Oh, let me tell you something else. When I did the exam, it was all remote because it was pandemic driven. I didn't get my books until 2 weeks before the exam was scheduled.
Oh no.
I didn't know I was supposed to have books. I thought everything was just what you do online.
Yeah.
So the person said, you can't have any of your certification books. You could, but you had to show the books or whatever. You have them there. And I'm like, what books? And I didn't get books. So when I put it to appeal, they were going to go ahead and give me a point and pass me. But the appeal is a panel. And so they said no. And I'm like, okay. So that was my experience.
Stay tuned to next week when we learn if Edward was able to pass the exam. Same bat time, same bat channel. Talk to you next week, folks.